to rank scores, or we didn't really dive deep into that. Then we can use if to know if certain percentage of people are late or they came early, to know if a statement is true or it is false. That was the summary.
All right. Thank you. Any other person that can add to that? Any other person? Why today condor like this? Any other person? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
So the last class we covered if it is the standard if statement, what it is, how it is used, and the syntax as follows is if open brackets condition. What is the condition here? Condition is a question, right? Remember the if. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last class, but the if returns a boolean, right? A boolean. What is a boolean or boolean? And depending on how you pronounce it. Does anybody know what the boolean data type is? Miracle.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. It's a
Yeah,
true or false value.
true or false. That's what the boolean is, true or false. So the if statement works with a boolean output. If you can see here, we have value if true, then we have value if false. So the question you're asking, which is your condition, if the condition is met, true is going to signify that the condition is met, and false means the condition isn't. So now, when you write an if statement, right? When you write an if statement, you assign a value to when the condition is true and when the condition is false, like the output of that question, if it's true or false. What do I mean by that? We decided to grade. Let me take this out because I want to use this column here. Okay, it's cool. So we decided to grade this group of students here, and we had a condition. We had a criteria. What was our criteria? Who can remember from the last class? Lawal.
If the score is above 50, we should deduct 10. Then if it's below 50, we should add 10.
Okay, so our criteria was the score. Is the score the condition? Is the score above 50? That is the condition, right? If the score is above 50. Now, there's only, if I ask you, is this score above 50? there's only two ways you can answer that. Okay, probably yes. There's only two ways you can answer that question: yes and no, true or false. Right? So it's either above or it is not above 50. So what do we do in this case? We say, okay, if I want to return a value when it is true and a value when it is false, right? So now we said, okay, if it is above 50, let's return the pass. If it's below 50, let's return fail. And that was how we were able to get this. But now if you notice this if statement can only take one condition, right? It can only take one condition. So you can only ask one question. So if we were to say, let's decide to do the normal grading system in the sense that we have A, B, C, D, E. Okay, do they still use E? I think E is outdated. A, B, C, D, and F. A being distinction, B being, I don't even know what B stands for, probably very good. C stands for credits, D, pass, and F, fail. So what if we want to go further? We want to work with more conditions. We want to write complex logical statements. That is where the nested if and the ifs statements come in. Now, this is the syntax of the nested if. We have here equal to if, we have condition 1, we have result 1, right? Comma, if, again, inside the if. Remember we were nesting, what was the function we're nesting when we were working with text? We're nesting find, inside find. Who could remember that? That you guys are having issues with? Yeah. Yeah. We're nesting find inside of find when we're working with text. When it comes to nesting of functions together, it is a normal occurrence in not just Excel, but different programming languages. The more you nest the functions in it, the more complex your logic becomes. You get? So learn how to nest your functions into each other properly. It might not be the exact same function you're nesting in. Nesting basically means writing a function inside a function. That's what nesting is. So you need to learn how to nest properly. So here it's called a nested if because we have another if inside here. We have another if inside this one, which is inside this one. So can you see the nest? Are we together? Are we together? Now, okay, I can Lade.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir. You said if the function is with another function, that's what it next is called. So the
It's
second
not
and the third one and
it's not if it is with, it's inside. Look at this if. Look at the first if here. This is where it closes. You can see the if multiple if statements inside it. This one is inside this one. This one is inside this one. That is inside this one. Do you understand? So it's like a row. They are inside each other. That's what nesting is. Not with, but inside. You can see at the end of the day, this thing here is compounded together here. The same thing when we're working with text. I don't know if I've cleared this. If I come here and I enter here, you can see, look at this find here. This find is inside this find. You can see. So we nested this find inside the outer find. Do you get? We nested this find. All of these things are nested inside this mid.
okay, sir. I understand now, sir.
Yeah. So that's what a nested if is. It is called nested if because of how we have ifs inside of another. Now, we want to assign the proper grade. So if the person, so how, I don't know, the school I went to might probably be different from yours. So where does A start from? Run any person here. 1 to 100. Where does A start from?
75.
Okay.
80.
Let me. Voila. So let me quickly put out another text box. Yeah. So this is our logic. Let me just write it out first. So this is going to be our logic here, right? This is going to be our conditions, rather, because we have multiple conditions now. Right? So you see, what are we using 80, 70, or 75? Let me see. Just write it in the chat. I'll just take a glance at it, then I'll go with the majority. Let me give you guys 10 seconds. Okay. So from the look of things, the overwhelming number here is 70. So we'll go with 70. So our first condition here, will be greater or equal to 70. Here's our first condition, right? So this is condition 1. So what's going to be our second condition? Where does B start from? I'm guessing 60, right? So we'll have A. So for B is going to be 60. So we'll have, this is going to be B. I'll just copy this. So where does C starts from? 50 or 51? Or where does it start from?
50. 50.
50. Okay. So C is going to be 50. How about D? 45.
45.
40.
Oh, it's 45. If they give you D at 40, that's cool. There's something wrong, bro. Right? Then anything below 45 is failure.
F.
Failure. You don't get carried over. So this is going to be so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 conditions here. We're asking 5 questions. Right? I'm taking my time with this. Today is going to be about if statements in conjunction with logical operators. So it's going to be a very interesting class. Please pay attention. So now, these are our conditions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we were to use this if statement here, we cannot fit in 5 conditions here. We can only fit in 1. Right? But if we want to work with multiple conditions, what do? This is where the nested if and the if statements come in. Now, the nested if can only take, I think, a total of 64 or 65 conditions max. Right? I think the nested ifs can take about 64 to 65 conditions. Why the ifs is unlimited? Can take 100, 200. Imagine how that syntax is going to be. It's going to be crazy. So now I want to assign this grade. Let me keep this here. Let me highlight it so that you guys can see. So these are the conditions and the output. So let's craft our if statement. Now, when it comes to writing if statement, it's very easy to get it wrong when you're writing if statement. So let me ask you guys. When I ask the question, I need you guys' hands to be up before, so that to avoid like a discombobulation of the whole session. So now, if I'm writing the if statement, which condition am I starting with? Am I starting from the lowest condition or from the highest condition? Oh, please mute your mics. If I haven't called you, don't unmute your mic, please.
Okay. If we are starting from the highest condition.
Why?
Okay, it's just as if we are saying that if to my own perspective, I'll just say,
Yeah.
oh, like,
No, it's cool. Go on.
okay, like into descend. I can't really say about that.
All right. Let's see if any other person here can help us with the logic. I'm going to explain. So, Ritage.
Okay, it is because when we talk about coding, the computer reads it from from the first line of code to the next one. So when you start with 70, it will first execute the 70, then go to the next one to check it. That's 60, then 50, then 40, 45. But if you start with 45, then you have to go to 45, 45, less than 45, greater than 45. So you have to follow a sequence. You can't put it at the middle. It must be sequential.
Thank you very much. So that's actually correct. But let me break it down even further. Now, this if statement is like a sieve, is like a container. Holds a container, and that container under it has holes depending on the size of our condition, right? So if we start with the smallest condition here, it's going to have the smallest hole underneath. So if I pour in all of the numbers inside, what do you think is going to happen? No number will execute to the next. Why? Because any number that is smaller than 45 cannot move on to the any number that is smaller than 45 is not bigger than 45, right? So each of these numbers are like separate baskets that houses holes. But if we have sieve 1, sieve 2, sieve 3, sieve 4, and sieve 5, they will pour the numbers inside, right? From here, number 1 to 100 will be here. So you come to the first sieve. The sieve here is any number that is greater or equal to 70 can't pass through, right? So from 69 are the only numbers that are small enough to pass through. So it's going to any number that is greater than 70 or equal to 70 will be stuck here. So what will be left in this first basket is going to be from 70 to 100. What will pass through will now be 69 to 0. It's now come to this next one. So it's not checking everything again because a portion of the code has been run and all the numbers that fits this criteria is stuck here. It repeats the same process, and that's how we get down. Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand?
Yes.
So that is how this ifs function works. So let's write it out. So I'll go equal to if. I'll go equal to if, right? So what is our first logic? Our first logic is the score greater or equal is the score greater or equal to 70, right? Comma. What is our value if true? Is going to be A. Comma. So instead of writing value if false, we're going to write another if statement here. Right? we're going to write another if statement. What's going to be our second logic now? Is the number greater or equal to 60, comma, what's our value if true? It's going to be B, comma. Now, instead of us to write the value if false again, we'll write our third if. Can you see how we're nesting it into each other? We'll write our next if. Our next if will be is the score. Sorry, I forgot to put the score here as well. So is the score greater or equal to, what's the third one? 50, isn't it? Comma. What is our value if true? It's going to be C. Next assignment that's coming this weekend. Let me just keep quiet. It's going to be, so you guys should pay very close attention. So it's going to be C. What is the value if false? Again, we'll put our if. Fourth if. What's our logic? We'll go this greater or equal to 45, comma. What is our value if true? It's going to be D. Now, because we don't have any other condition, remember I told you this thing is a sieve. By the time the thing gets to this point, it's going to be from 40. It's going to be only 45. Only 45 that will be left here. So anything that is not what that will not be passed here, automatically we just want to put them to be F. Because any number that escapes this part of the code is going to be less than 45. So there's no point writing a fifth function for this. All we need to do is value if false, F. Then we close all of the brackets we opened. Question before I run the code. If you have any questions. And you guys understand it? Okay, Okpara.
All right, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah,
So
good
please, I
evening.
don't understand, like, I know after putting the netting the if, after the D, why do you put F again, like the final this thing before you close the bracket?
This F basically means value if false. That's why I took my time to explain how this if is like a sieve. It's like a sieve. Any number, this is the benchmark, this is the threshold. That B2 is the score. Look at, I don't know if you didn't attend the one we talked about self-referencing. The B2 is the score. You can see. So now I told you each if statement is like a sieve. Any number that moves to the next one, because from 1 to 100, yeah, it's exactly like a switch case in JavaScript. There's also switch in Python. There's switch in Power BI, which you guys will get to learn next month. You know, it's the same logic. I told you guys this if statement, all the programming languages have it. All the programming languages have this if logic. So once you know and master it here, you can write it in any programming language. So to answer your question, this sieves here. So 1 to 100 will enter this first if here. From 71 to 100 will stop here. So from 70 to 100 to stop here. From 69 to 0 will come here. Right? Then from 69 to 60 will stop here. From 59 to 0 will come here. From 59 to 50 will stop here. From 49 to 0 will come here. Right? So from 49 to 45, from 49 to 45 will stop here. Then from 44 to 0, we want to assign it F. So from 44 to 0 is the value if false. Remember, from this first statement, we have value if true, we have value if false. So that F, we're just telling you, okay, fine, this is the value if false, assign F to it. So anything that is lesser than 45, assign F to it. So that is how this syntax works. Then you can see these 4 brackets here. We're just closing the parentheses of all of the brackets we open. And Excel will make it easy for you. It will give it a different color so that you know when you've closed all of the brackets that are open. And always remember that the most outer bracket is the black one. So once you close all of the brackets that are being open and you see a black bracket, know that you've closed all of them. Look at it. First bracket. This is where the first bracket closes. Everything is nested inside. Look at the second bracket opens here. It closes here. Third bracket opens here. It closes here. Fourth bracket opens here. It closes here. So that's why we have 4 brackets here. Four closing brackets here. I've answered the question, the person that asked.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Olajide Abimbola, what's the question?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Well, good evening.
Yeah, I want to ask about the last if. I was thinking the sign there should be less than anything less than 45 should be F. But there is anything greater than 45.
That last if has two outputs. The traditional if statement has value if true, value if false. I just explained this like a few seconds ago. I told you all of these things are brackets. When the code gets to this point, what will be left from the code is only numbers that are from 49 to 0. That is what will be left at this point. So for ask it, is the number greater than 45? Yes, that means from 49 to 45 will be here. Assign D. If it's not greater than 45, give it 0. So give it F. So from 44, which isn't greater than 45, or equal to 45 to 0, assign F to it. That is why that's how it is. So immediately I enter this and I drag it down. We automatically assign all of their corresponding grades to them. You can see 75. Let me delete this. This is, so you can see here 85A, 0F, 70A, 80A, 92A. Look at 60B, 50. Okay, there's no D here. Let me just change one random number to like a 48. Can you see? That's giving us D. You understand? So this is how the nested ifs work. I want to work with multiple conditions. Remember, you can perform calculations as your value if true. It doesn't have to be you assigning. So it can be anything. It can be another function. Doesn't matter. As long as your brain can think it out, you can implement it. Any question? All right. So now, me personally, this nested if is outdated, right? Why? Yes, all you have to do is drag it. That's the beauty of Excel functions. They're relative, unless you purposely lock down the referencing. If the reference are relative, once any direction you drag it to is going to adapt to what is inside there. So you only need to write the function once, no matter how complex it is. If you reference it properly, you only need to write it once, then you just drag it down to fill. Let me quickly bring this to front. So now you can see here, these two functions are very similar. This is better than this for one reason and one reason alone. We are not nesting any if inside, right? We're just writing out the function plain. Favor, I think you should check the last class for why it's giving us fail for C. There was a condition we passed here, which is different from the condition we are using here today. You will see why it's giving us fail there. And 50 is fail. What average is not allowed. If I have a school, if you score 50, you fail. Is that you're above 50 or anything 50 down to 0 failed? Because that I think that 50 on the dot even promotes mediocrity. That's why if you check the grading system of China or these Asian countries, you will see I think A stands from like 85, I mean 90. A. No, their C, I think their C is 70. So they're a lot smarter than us because of the level of expectations and the benchmark set for them. So the difference between the nested if and the ifs is just two things. Number one, you don't need multiple if, you just need an ifs function. Then the second thing is this one has a value if false, but this one, all of the conditions you passed here must be true. You can see here, this last one, if I click on it, look at it, is value if false. This function here, this output here is for the value if false. Now, the ifs does not have that value if false option. So any question you're asking inside this ifs must return true. Must return true. So now let's get the same grades again using the ifs. You see the difference. The difference. I use ifs. I recommend you to use ifs. You understand? I recommend you to use ifs. Forget this if is very soon. I think they'll scrap it because there's no advantage of this over this. This is shorter and this is easier. Now, let's write the function for the same grading system using ifs. So I will go equal to ifs. Today's class, you guys are not engaging like other days. What is happening? So, like I told you guys, all of the questions you ask must be true. All of the questions you ask must be true. There is no value if false. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to ask the same questions again, right? I'm going to ask the same questions again. I don't know if I should just copy this code. You should always learn how to recycle codes. Maybe I should just copy this code here. I will just edit it. Right? I'll just edit it. I'll explain it. Don't worry. I'll paste it in here. I'll add. So it's going to be ifs. Right? It's going to be ifs. I'm going to take out this. I'm going to take out this. I'm going to take out all the ifs. I'll take out all of this. So this is what the ifs looks like, right? This is what the ifs look like. Is the score greater or equal to 70? Give it A, comma. Is the score greater or equal to 60? Again, which is correct, true. Give it B. If the score greater or equals to 50, give it C. Number 4 is the score greater or equals to 45, give it D. Now, I want to ask you guys in this class now, if I want, how do I get the F? What's now we need to pass in another logic. We need to pass in another condition. Unlike the ifs that were automatically delegated, the nested if that were automatically delegated the value if false. So what statement do I use to get F? So Onella, the first person whose hand came up. No, there's no
hello.
else. There's no else
Yes.
in this one. No, not be Python with this. Yeah.
So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
So you can just continue after the
Okay.
comma. You
Yeah.
do
So what do I-
B2
Okay.
and less than.
I need to move this. I'm coming. Let me just write it out myself.
You
So
write
B2,
F.
B2, what's less than
Sorry?
B2 less than, I'm waiting for you. Look at it now. I've written it.
B2 less than 45, then
45.
comma,
Mm-hmm.
S. You open the apostrophe. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So that's absolutely correct. You can see. Now, all of the questions we're asking must be true. There's no false here. That's why we needed to ask a fifth question here. And if I drag it down, we're going to get exactly the same result. Can you see? We got exactly the same results. Now, let me copy out both functions so that you can see them side by side. Look at them very well. Should you decide to use either? So Control A, Control C. I'm going to give you guys a Word document that houses about all the basic fundamental shortcuts you need in Excel to help you get higher productivity. Right? These are the two functions here. Let me enlarge it so that you guys can see very well. So we have here nested if. Wow, I know concept we have to spell statement. Please, somebody should help me out. Statements. I don't know what just happened. My brain is on. After the T, is there? Okay, thank you. I don't know what happened. So, thank you. This is our nested if, and here we have our ifs. Look at them very closely. Can you see? Very similar, but also different. You do the same thing. Avoid this when you can. Go with this. Go with ifs. Go with ifs. Go with ifs. The reason why we didn't have multiple brackets is because there's only two brackets. There's only one bracket open here, which is this, and we have to close it here. This one we had one. Any bracket you open, 2, 3, and 4. We have 4 brackets that open, so you have to close all 4. That's why we have multiple brackets open here. Any bracket you open in a formula, you must close it. In this case, we have only one, and this is where we closed it. So I'm seeing 2 hands up already. I'm guessing those are questions. So Eze, Ugochukwu.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, please, my question is there a reason why the B2 less than 45 does not have an equal to into it, just like the rest?
Okay, again, logic. The reason why there is no equal to here, because we just want all the numbers that are less than 45, which is 44 to 0. We want to give them F. If I say less than or equal to 45, that means 45 is going to fall into this category. 45 will fall into this category to fall into this category. There's an error.
Okay.
So before I start writing your complex if statement, sit down, draft out your logic on a pen and paper before I start writing it out. It becomes easy once you've solved the problem in your head on a sheet of paper.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. So the second person, Lawa.
My question is, I remember you said we should nested if is outdated and we can replace it with if statement. However, you also made mention of avoiding nested if we can? Are there situations whereby we only have to, the only option we have is nested if,
No,
and if can't perform this?
no. There's no reason why you would use a nested if over
Okay.
an if statement.
Okay. Thank you.
Ornella, your question.
Yes, I would also like to ask if, like, which one is used the most? Is it the if statement or the nested if statement?
Ifs is a better iteration of the nested if.
Okay.
So ifs is newer, it's better, it's cleaner. It can hold more logics compared to nested if. I don't think there's a situation, or at least for me, I've written logical functions hundreds of times. I've never said, I wish I could use nested if. There's never a time. There's
Okay.
never a time. So I know they will soon stop you. They will phase it out. It's just like using, if I press equal to, we have concats, right? We also
Yes.
have concatenates. They do the same thing. Right? But if you look here, they're telling you there's a symbol here. They're telling you that this thing very soon it will soon go to that sign there. So they're phasing out this concatenate with this concat. They do the same thing. Again, in Excel, there are multiple ways of getting things done. If you don't use concat, you can use, let me show you the one I didn't show you guys, but because like concat now, we can use something called the text join. Right? You can use the text join. You can also use this to concatenate. You can use, like I told you guys, you can use the double ampersand to also concatenate. So there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. So it's all up to you. But from the professional, if I were to give you an educated advice, use the ifs. Use the ifs. Any other question? Because we want to talk about logical operators now. Any other question? Okay. Miracle.
Hello, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I used true value instead of less than 45, and I got the same output. Is that correct? Because I don't know.
What do you mean by true value?
Instead of using B2 less than 45, I just I use true, encasing it in a more like a string, and I got the same
Yes.
output.
Yes. You can also use that as well. That is what I would have used. But I did this so I can understand the logic behind it. Right? I did this. The true can also work as well. So it all depends on how you want it. You can write it explicitly, or you can use that true there. The keyword true. Either of them works. Any other question? Okay. So now we've known how to pass multiple conditions using the nested if and if statement. What if we want to make this even more complex, right? What do we do? This is where logical operators come in, right? So what are logical operators? Logical operators are operators we use in conjunction with if statements to write complex logical statements. Those are what logical operators are. You use them in conjunction with if statements to write complex logical statements. So now, for today, We are going to work as a risk assessment analyst for. Who else can't see my screen? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes,
No,
sir.
sir. No.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we
Probably
can.
it's
Please check from your end.
We
I
can.
doubt. I
Okay.
doubt. I'm using a 5G router here, and the network is quite strong. And if some people can see my screen and others can't, that means the people that can't see is from your end. If nobody was seeing it, then I would say okay, fine. But let me see if I can. Let me see if I can refresh.
I'm not sure it's from your end. Let them log off and log in back. It's
It's
network.
from their end. It's from
It's
their own end.
network. It's network.
Yes.
They should log off and log in back.
So now, are we all together?
Yes.
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 Yes, sir.
So now we are working as a risk assessment analyst for a mortgage. Okay, yeah, the hands that were up, let's raise them up again if you have questions. So I'm going to change these names here. I'm going to change these names here. I know one of the names I see a lot that I participate a lot. I know Beatrice. I know she participates a lot. I know Onella off the top of my head. What do I put here? Um,
Glory.
let me see. Off the top of my head, let me see. I know the people that participate a lot. So once I see the name, Edith Young, you're trying. Let's see. Let's see. Let me go through. Yeah, Priscilla is trying. Ibiron kept Priscilla, so I'll go.
Lawa.
Yeah, one of those that Lawal lady is also trying as well. Lawal.
Blessing.
Inspire used to try before, but I don't know what happened. The last couple of classes, she has not been interactive. I'm taking note of all of you, the ones that are participating.
No, sir, it was not like that. The other class, I really understood the class. That's why I didn't bother asking questions. So if I have any difficulty, I will have asked.
Not ask, even when I'm asking questions to contribute. This
On Sunday, I came late to the class. That was why I came late to the class. So that was why I couldn't ask anything.
yes, Glory also, Emma Glory too, is participating a lot. No, while are together. Then the last person, let's just complete up a blessing. Let's make it 10. Let me put Beverly here. What do I put here? Rachel
Abena.
or Raquel? Abigail. So now we have, let me assign random numbers. Let's go 6, 5. Yeah. These numbers are not random. Wow, explain everything. So here, let's go 7,000. Let's go 700. Abigail, let's go 10K or 12,000 here. So let's drop them here. So here for credit history, let's go. Okay, I'll give you 1, 1, 1. I will give you 0, 0, 0. I will give you, let's go 1. Let's go 1. Let's go 1. So we are working as a risk assessment analyst, right? We're working as a risk assessment analyst. This is a mortgage company, or let's just say this is OP. We're working for OP Microfinance, Abi Pampe. Let's use Pampe. All right. Let me insert a text box here. So we're working for Pampe. We're working for Pampe loan. All right, so we're working for Pampe loan. So let's spice it up a bit. Let's give them their color, which is purple. For those people they collect money from Pampe, when I'm hungry pay. Let me show you how, in a very basic way, how you're being accepted or rejected when you try to borrow money from them. So let's use so now, right? We're working with Pampe. You know they do their things now for the Nigerians here, right? I'm working with Pampe. So with this Pampe, let's assume it's a foreign company. So the Pampe has 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 criteria for you to be accepted to take a loan or for you to be rejected when you're applying for a loan. These are the 10 potential customers that have applied for a loan. This is the information they fill. And each column here signifies the criteria. So number 1, monthly wage, right? So anybody applying for a loan must be earning 5,000 and above, right? 5,000 and above every month, right? So this is the first criteria. Your credit history, all those people they go collect from OP, from Money Point, from here. You know the grip pay. You understand? Those people that don't pay. That is your credit history. You can have a bad credit history. You can have a good credit history. Now we're using ordinal data here. So anywhere you see 1 represents yes, 0 represents no. So the credit history, I mean, people when they borrow, they pay back. So the credit history here must equal to 1. That means you have good credit, right? The third criteria, or the third policy, is a life contract. What does that mean? You have a secure job, or you've had a secure job for the past 5 years, and you have a secure job going forward. So the life contracts so you probably fill this information when you're applying for the loan, right? Must be equal to 1. Then finally, you must deposit 25% of the money you want to collect. Right? So these are the 4 criteria you must meet. for you to be able to borrow money from Pampi? Inspire. Let me answer your question first before we go into what's
Sir,
logical
I
operator.
just want to ask that is it that the person must deposit 25% of the money he wants to borrow, or must have deposited 25% of the money he wants to borrow? Like, say, like the account must have 25%
No,
of the money you want to borrow, or like some people that just open account, they just want to borrow directly from the company, and they have not even deposited any money inside their account. Do you
if
get
you
what
don't
I'm trying?
deposit, if you don't deposit, they won't give you.
So
Right?
that is, they must have deposited 25% of the money they want to borrow, not that they must deposit it before borrowing, right?
No, you must. You must. This is a it's called a security deposit, right? You must
Okay,
pay a
okay,
portion of the money you're borrowing in case you run like most Nigerians. You're not going to pay back. At least they know 25% of their money is safe, right? 25% of their
okay,
money is safe. So once you deposit, you borrow the money. Once you pay back, they will give you this your deposit back. You understand? So it's like a
okay,
security deposit.
okay,
So that's you must provide it, that money, especially
okay,
when it comes to millions. This deposit,
okay,
sorry, is needed.
okay, sir. All right, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Kegade, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Patience.
Yes, sir. Just to add to what he said, like some of these loan app, what some of them do is that, like the whatever amount you want to withdraw from them or borrow from them, they take a certain percent of it upfront. Let's say, for instance, you want to take a loan of 100,000, and probably they now say, okay, your interest on that loan is 5%. Now, the duration of the loan, let's say, is for 2 months or 30 days, as the case may be. Some of them might just take that 20% interest upfront and then give you whatever the balance is. Then now, another thing they do again, that they now do all their charges, let's say VAT, VAT, and all those other things that they will not charges. As that when you're returning back the money, you're paying back with those other charges that the loan attracts. Sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now, this is the criteria, right? This is the criteria. Probably they've asked you to perform some analysis before. So what are the things you need that we can hold these people to predict people that will be less risky or high risky, or the less risky clients or high risk clients, right? So now, all these chosen people. So now, except you're from chosen, then all this one no concern you. Just shout out 3 times and immediately they will accept you into the program. So this is our criteria. Let's talk about this logical operator. So we use logical operators in conjunction with if statements, right? But let's look at them individually. We'll talk about these two. These are the main ones you use, but the not we might talk about is not really used. It's hardly used. But I'll tell you what the not is. So now for the AND operator, these operators, they return a boolean as the output. They return a boolean as the output. What do I mean by that? True or false. It's either going to be true or false. No, else does not work. The else is already embedded in the if statement. So you don't need to write the else. If you're writing M codes or DAX or Python codes or all those things, then you can use the else there. But for Excel, it has been simplified for you. So you don't need the else. The else is already there. That's why you have value if true, value if false. That value if false is the else. Is 50 greater than 100? If it's true, say it is greater, else it is not. Value if true, comma, value if false. So that's the else. So it's the if else statement you're hearing, but it is simplified in Excel. So now our first criteria, or what the AND does, the AND, any condition, any criteria passed inside the AND function or the AND operator must be met for it to return true. Otherwise, false. So this is like an absolute, right? For the Christians here, in the days of old, we have the 10 commandments. If you keep 9 of these commandments and you break one and you die, what happens? Francisca,
Go to the
The person will go hellfire.
you go to hell. So this and is an absolute, right? Everything inside this and is must be met. If not, that the what's it called? The justice system in Nigeria is failing. Even if you abide all of the laws in Nigeria and you end up killing somebody, you will go to prison or probably face the death penalty. For the politicians, even if you abide by all of the laws, you don't steal, you don't, but maybe they catch you cheating on your wife, and maybe cheating is above the law, cheating is against the law, you pay for it. So this is like an absolute. Everything passed inside it must be met for it to return true. If you pass in 100 conditions inside and 99 were met and 1 isn't, automatically it's going to return false. So that is how this AND operator works. Now let's use this AND operator in conjunction with our criteria for this our beloved loan company to assign the true or false for the status. So we'll come here. I'll go equal to, I'll go AND. I'll go AND. Right? So what's going to be our first logic? Our first logic is the monthly wage above or equal to $5,000. So what do? I will come to wage. I will say is the wage greater or equal to 5,000. Right? This is our first condition. Are we together, class? So together, give me a thumbs up.
Yes,
I don't know
sir.
why I can't see. Okay, so that's our first.
Yes.
Precious, do you have something to add? Oba. Precious.
No, no. I wanted to
Okay.
do a thumbs up. And my
Okay.
hand
Thank you.
is
All right. So this is our first condition, which is the monthly wage is greater or equal to 5,000. Then I'll press comma. Our second criteria is the credit history must be equals to 1, comma. Third criteria, life contracts must be equal to 1. I hope you know what the 1 and 0 mean. And finally, the person must have deposited 25%, which is equal to 1. Right? So these are our AND statements. Now we've passed in 4 conditions inside. Right? So I'm going to close it. And I'll press enter. And I'll drag it down. And you can see we have some true. We can only return true or false. We'll have some false and we'll have some true. So based on my explanation, why is it giving us false and why is it giving us true? Miracle, Chimamanda.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Chimamanda. Okay, we are getting true because all the conditions are met, so those are true. For the first part, one of
So
the
explain,
conditions.
point them out. Explain for that. Go to where list the person, the candidate that met all of the criteria and the other ones so that we can know what's happening.
Okay, for the first one, that's Beatrice.
Yes.
One of the conditions was not met. That's the deposit was 0, so it's not equal to 1. So that's why we're having false as the output.
Okay.
And down to the other part for true, that's Lawa. She met all the conditions are true. She had 111, and her monthly wages is 7,000, which is above 5,000 for the criteria. So it returned true.
How about Rachel? Look at Rachel.
Rachel. That's the last one. First,
Raquel.
for
Raquel.
the conditions was not met. That's the monthly wages is not up to 5,000. So that's why it returned false.
So thank you very much. You're correct. Right? You're correct. So you can see here, right? Please. All right, there'll be time for everybody to questions go flood. Don't worry. So you can see here, this is our condition. This is our 1 and 0 means yes or no. That's what one. I told it's like a categorical and ordinal data. You can only count them. You can't sum. You cannot perform arithmetic calculations on them, but you can use them to categorize. There are a lot of data sets where you see 1 and 0, 1 and 0, plenty. So you need to know what to do with them. Very well. Maybe every number we see will be number. Some of them are used as categories. So this is our criteria. You guys can't hear me?
We can, sir. We can, sir.
Network. If you can't hear me, it's your network. So these are our criteria, right? These are our criteria. You can see for the first person, why this is giving us false, because it's going to ask the first question: is the person any 5K and above? Immediately the answer is false. It's going to disregard the remaining part of the equation and will just return false. Right? You can see for Onella here, the monthly wage 5K met the first condition. The second condition inside, it didn't. Automatically, it's going to return failed. For that's why you need to pay attention before you write. Pay attention first. You can always use the video and you understand better. You probably didn't write your function properly. Why? That's why you're getting false. All true. For Ibiron care here, you can see again 1.5 automatically is going to return false. Now for Lawal, you can see here she's earning 7K, which is above 5,000. She has a good credit history. She has a life contract and she has deposited 25%. So we have true. For Emma, she met the first condition, she met the second condition, she met the third condition, but she fell short of the last condition. You can see why it's giving us false. So like I told, even if there are 1,000 conditions inside this and statement here, even 999 is met and just one out of all of them isn't met, the whole thing don't spoil. The whole thing don't spoil. You understand? So that it's absolute. Everything inside must be met. So that is how the AND works. So now, how do we convert this thing now to give us an output of rejected and accepted? Now, I told you need to learn that you need to learn how to combine functions. You need to learn how to nest functions. You need to learn how to reuse your functions syntax. Another thing you need to learn how to do is to expand upon an existing function. An existing function. Yeah, life is unfair. It is what it is, right? So the and is very needed. So you need to learn how to expand. What do I mean by that? Me now, or I could write it out straight, but you can start with the logic, then you can start using the if attached to it. So what do? I'll come here, right? I'll come here. I'll come here, right? I will say if. You see, I'm expanding this function. I will say if. So my logical test now will be this whole and function I wrote will be inside of the if. So I'll come here, comma. So what is the value if true? I will say accepted. The value if false, rejected. Can you see? This is the function. This is the function. Let me copy it out and let me drop it for you guys in the group chat. Immediately I press enter, you can see, and I drag it down. So this is how your PAMPIA works, that it will accept or reject you based on the information you've provided and based on the parameters they judge you by. So that I've automatically assigned the status of accepted or rejected to each and every person here. Question before we go forward. Any question? Silvanos, Susan.
Yes, good evening, sir. I have a question on the formula. I don't get how the formula will now reject. Where is the condition will now show the rejection? I didn't get it.
I told you earlier, we use these logical operators in conjunction with if statements to give us a complex logic. I told that was what I mentioned earlier. So when we are done writing our AND operation, what do? I encased it with the traditional if statement. Look at it, if equal to if. So now this AND that we wrote, I just encased it as our logic, our singular logic. So this singular logic has 4 criteria inside, comma, and also remember, in fact, let me copy this out. Let me run it to the side. Also remember, I told you the what just happened? Oh, sorry. I copied the wrong code. Oh. I can't feel. So what's happen? So you can see. And if you remember the if statement, like I told you, the if has equal to if your condition or your logic, value if true, value if false, right? Value if true, value if false. And you can see the output of the AND operator is giving us if and false. So we want to attach an output to when it is false and an output to when it is true. Can you see? In order for us to do this, we need to use an if statement. So we just went if, open brackets, that logic we wrote using the AND operator, comma, value if true, accepted, value if false, rejected. So that was how we're able to assign the accepted and rejected. Inspire. Sorry, not inspire. All right, yeah. Genesis, your hand was up before inspire.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I don't know why I'm having this confusion. I'm not sure it's confusion, but I'm not sure I really get the difference between logical functions and logical operators. Can you help me with that?
So all of these are called logical functions. There's a difference between a function and an operator. We have arithmetic operators, right? What are arithmetic operators? We have the sum, we have the plus sign, we have the minus sign, we have the multiplication, and we have the division. So those signs, they do something, right? They do something. So the same thing goes with these operators here. I told you the AND operator, any condition you pass inside of it, even if it's 10, 20, 50, 100, all of the conditions inside must be met for it to return true. If no condition inside If one condition out of it is not met, it's going to return false. So it's kind of like an absolute, like a be all and end all kind of situation. And returns true or false. The if statement does not return true or false. The if statement accepts values to return if the output of that answer is true or the output of the answer is false. But the and these operators, they return true or false. So where the if comes in to assign that value for if it's the output is true and when it is false. I don't know if you understand. The person that asked the question, I don't know if you understand.
Yes, I understand you.
Even if you don't, go back, watch the video again. If you're still having errors, just send me a DM. If you're still having issues. So Inspire, let's hear your question.
Okay, sir, you've already cleared what I wanted to ask, but I'll still ask again. Like, what I wanted to ask is that instead of using the if statement in conjunction with the logical operator, like the if and in conjunction with it, like, why can't we just use the if? That no, is it possible for us to use just the if directly for us to get this status rejected and accepted without
You
including
can't.
the and function?
You cannot. You cannot.
Okay.
If you see here, when we wrote this function, we are working with just one criteria, which is the score. We are working with just one variable, which is the score. Hence, you can write it out. But anything that requires more than one criteria, in this case, we are working with 4 criteria: 1, 2, 3, and 4. You need to use an operator.
Okay,
You
sir.
need to use
Thank you very much.
So this is I don't know if any of you guys have heard of RFM, customer segmentation, before. Recency, frequency, and the amount of money the person spends. So this is used to segment customers. So they call you as a customer, as a business analyst, for you to come and segment their customers. They want to know their high value customers. Who are high value customers? High value customers are people that patronizes the business the most. What are the 3 criteria we use? We want to see how recent they've purchased from you, how frequent they purchase from you, and how much they spend when they are buying from you, or how much they spent on you. So if somebody is recently purchased from you, the person usually buys from you, and the person spends a lot of money for you, what do you use? You say this person is high value customer. How do you ascertain that that segmentation? You use the and. So you say maybe the person frequency must be above 10, and the person must have purchased last, not older than a month ago, and the person must have spent, let's say, on average, or $10,000 in your shop. So if the person passed these 3 criteria, put them as a high value customer. So that is how you perform your segmentation. These logical operators and if statements, it is absolutely important. All the programming languages have it. There's a reason why they have it. It is absolutely important. So now, let me answer the last question because we have barely 38 minutes. Victory. Yeah, your hand has been up. Let's see. What do you have for us? Victory. Chukwu Emeka. Victory.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Please, I want to ask, are the logical operators only necessary when binary numbers are involved, or can they be used for other types of data?
And anything you can think of, they can be used. And these numbers, okay. They are binary, but in this case, they are binary. It can be anything. This is just the criteria you're using for today. It can be anything, right? As long as it makes sense, it can be anything. It can be a date, like I said, for using RFM. It can be calculation. It can be another function. Doesn't matter. Do you understand?
Yes, sir,
So
I
now,
understand.
all
Thank
right,
you.
thank you very much. But now, there's a problem here. Business people, if you know you're into business, what do you think is the problem here? What will perform our first risk assessment analysis to identify high risk and low risk potential clients? So the low risk are the people that were rejected. So the high risk are the people that are rejected. The low risk are the people that are accepted. So these people are most likely to pay back the money they took from us based on our criteria. But there's a problem here. There's a problem here. What is the problem, class? Francisca.
Okay. Good evening, sir. I think the problem is that most of our customers have a rejection status. That means there's no business here. Who are we going to borrow to? Because if we don't borrow out, we don't make gain.
Thank you very much. You understand? So the whole point of all this OPay and PAMPay is because they make money from giving out money to people. So this one that we are having an 80%, we are having an roughly 80% rejection rate. That means there's a problem. They are applying for loan, for God's sake. They're not applying to Harvard or Oxford. You understand? So we're literally rejecting almost everybody here. And if we don't give people money, we don't make money, right? That means we need to find out, what do we do about this? What do we do about this? You say, okay, fine. They've come, your business. No, that was a rhetorical question, Beatrice. Or you want to ask a question? That was a rhetorical question. So your stakeholder will say, oh, mom, this thing, okay, Beatrice. 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 Okay, let's move on. So when you submitted this solution to your company, they applied what you gave them, and they found out that we are averaging just above 20% acceptance rates. It's a problem, right? It's a problem. Now, our money is safe because we're only giving it out to the best possible candidates, right? But we are not giving out our money enough for us to make profits, for us to make the business work. So what do we do in this case? We're not okay, fine. Let's relax our policy a bit, right? Let's relax our policy a bit. So instead of our applicants to have all of these criteria in check, if they can meet any one of these criteria, right? They can meet any one of these criteria, let us give them the loan. So this is where the or comes in. So the or, just like the and is an operator, it takes a number of conditions inside of it. But instead of all of the conditions being met to return true, at least one, if one of the conditions inside of it is met, is going to return true. So if you have 100 conditions inside, if you have 100 conditions inside and 99 were not met, but one was met, it's going to return true, right? So that's how the or works. The or syntax is exactly like the and syntax. The only thing we're going to change is the or. So let me quickly come here. I'll grab this and. I'll grab this and I'll return this and I'll change this and to all. That's the only thing you need to change to all. Shaking now. I'll press enter. Let me drag it down. So what can you guys see here? It is now giving us true for almost everything apart from one. Why is this one giving us false? Akinlade.
It's not giving us false because none of the criteria were met, sir. It's
All
not
right.
giving us true. None of the criteria were met.
Thank you. So you can see here again, even though the person wasn't making up to 5K, but at least the person had a good credit score. He gave us true. He gave us this one, even though she was earning 1.5, if you don't care, So basically, if you just like this one now, this Abigail is making 12,000. She does not have a good credit history. She does not have a good life contract, and she did not pay the deposit. But it's giving us true. Why? Because she's meeting the 5K benchmark here. Again, what do? I will just encase this with an if. I'll encase this with an if. I'll come here, comma, value if true, accepted, value if false, rejected. So you can see. Akinlade, let me get your question.
I don't have a question, sir. I forgot to take down my hand.
All right, Ojo Osaro. Osaro Ojo. Matthias, goodness.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, sorry, please, if you want to, so Saru Ojo.
All right.
Please, if you want to specify a particular condition, how do we now go about that?
We'll get there. But
Okay,
do you have any
sir.
question? You have any question based on this?
No.
All right, Matthias, goodness.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, I can.
Okay, I think she asked the same question I wanted to ask. I wanted to know if there was maybe a condition that was compulsory, like for this last person, if maybe there was a condition that's like maybe you want to say that the person must have credit history, even if he doesn't qualify with others. Maybe there's just one condition that is compulsory, even though the other ones are not compulsory. If such a thing, like, I don't know if you understand my question.
Yeah, I understand. We'll work with that. Now,
Okay.
Thank you very much. So the first approach we went with, it was too strict. It was too strict. That was the negative. Just like everything in life, there's positive, there's negative. The positive was that it was strict. Our money was safe. We're working with the best possible clients. But the negative was we were not making money because people were not qualifying enough for us to make money. Now, there's another problem using the second approach. What is the problem, class? Oh,
We might lose a lot of money because they are just the people that were given loan to are now meeting all the criteria, just meeting either of the criteria given. So they might not
thank you
be
very
able
much.
to.
Thank you very much. So now, remember your job. You're a risk assessment analyst. Your risk assessment analyst. What does risk assessment mean? You need to be able to reduce minimum to reduce the risk of any business decision your company is making. Now, here we are seeing that almost everybody, the thing now is just like Christmas. You're giving money to any person, even somebody that is earning $700 a month. If the person decides to collect $5,000 loan, how will the person pay back? You understand? So now it is very risky. You are dealing with more persons, but the risk is now very high. So again, they will come back to this. Okay, fine, Mr. Analyst or Mrs. Analyst, this approach, we are not also comfortable with this. Fine, we are investing more money. There's a potential of making massive profits, but there's a very big potential of losing money too, because some of these candidates here are not qualified to be given loans. Like Blessing now, our own is just bad because even when they relax the thing safe, like no hope for her. She's not even meeting any criteria at all. Quite unfortunate. You understand? Because she's earning $800 a month. She has a bad credit history. She doesn't have a stable job, and a deposit she couldn't provide. So even when they relaxed it to the bare minimum, she was still rejected. Right? So what do we do now? We need to find the balance, right? Yin and yang. We need to find the balance of risk and opportunity. This is less opportunistic. This is less opportunistic. It is also less risky. This is more opportunistic and more risky. But we want to find a blend of opportunity and risk. That balance, right? 50-50. So what do we do to strike a balance where we can work with more people, but at the same time we're not throwing away money? Because we don't want a situation where we're going to call people every 30 minutes, saying that they should come and return their money. You understand? You guys have seen the skits. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been in that position. I was very broke. I took money I couldn't pay back on time. And the amount of calls I received, Jesus Christ. You understand? So us trying to get our money back, we're going to end up spending more resources on calls. They will start pushing obituary flyers. If it's in a country that is functional, they will send the police to come after you. The what's it called? They will send lawsuits, and this is a lot of resources that is going into trying to recover the money we give out, right? So we need to avoid that risk, but at the same time we need to make money. So this is where we can combine and all together. We can combine and all together. Right? I'm sorry. There's a call. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. A call came in. So you can combine and or to even give you better control of what you're trying to do. Please, if you're not rating any media attendance, do it now, because I think I'll leave you guys 15 minutes or 10 minutes before the end of the class. A call just came in that I need to attend to. But let's round up what we need to do. So you can use a combination of and or, right? So we'll say, okay, fine. Let's do something here, right? So let's set this 25% deposit to be mandatory, right? Let's set this to be mandatory, and let's set this 3 to be optional, right? To be optional. So instead of meeting just one condition, you're going to meet this condition, which is a must, with any of this one. So now you're meeting 2 conditions. 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 here. So I didn't think we're going to write that function. Can anybody attempt it? Beatrice. 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 Glory. Emma Glory.
Hello, everyone.
You
So
are visible.
I think the way we should write it is equal if
No, leave the
and
if. Let's write the operator first. Then we can encase the if statement. So equal to
and
okay. So what
opening
am
a
I doing?
parenthesis.
Yeah.
We'll say monthly wage
Monthly wage.
greater than and equal to 5,000, comma, credit history greater than 1, sorry, equal to 1, comma, life contract equal to 1. Then accept.
Yeah, this is basically the AND statement we did before. So this isn't going to work, right? This isn't going to work. But I applaud the efforts. So Ritage, let's try you. If you can't get it, I'll just write it out because of time. I have just 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yes. So we start with or.
That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Let me just tell you now from the beginning first because of time. Okay, all my work. Will it? No, it won't work. All won't work. All won't work. So let me write it out, right? So we're going to use the combination of and or. So I'll go and. So what's our and? Remember our and is this. This is the absolute. This is non-negotiable. So what do I do? I'll say the deposit is equals to 1, comma, then I will go or. I will go or, then I'll pass the remaining ones inside. So you can see this is compulsory, which is our deposit. Then anything inside the or, if any one of them here is met, is going to return it. So this now has to be true. And if any of this here is met, it's also going to be true. So once I press enter and I drag it down, let's look at this. So let's pay attention to these values here, right? So for this first person, the deposit is not met, so automatically it's going to return false, right? For Onella, it's returning true. Why? Because she made the deposit and she has a life contract. She met the monthly wage as well, but she didn't have a credit history, so it returned true. But this person also returned true. The person also has the deposit, which is mandatory. The person does not have a life contract, does not have the salary, but has a good credit score. As for Lawal is a baller. You know, she has all of the criteria. So no matter what, she's always going to be accepted. You can see this person here, Emma. She has the salary, she has the credit score, she has the life contract, but it's so fact that she didn't have that compulsory 25% deposit. We didn't give her. As for blessing, you know now, everybody know by now that there's no hope for this one. You understand? No matter how we twist the logic, she will never be accepted. You understand? Because our records are just too bad. So he gave us false. This gave us true. This gave us true. And this gave us false again. Despite this person earning $12,000 because she has a bad credit history, she has a bad life contract, and she didn't meet the 25%, the return false. So again, if I come here and I encase this thing in an if, when I come here, again, comma, always learn how to expand your current function. So I'll come here, I will go accepted value if true. Comma, rejected value if false. So let me copy it. This is for the or. Again, let me copy it and drop for you guys in the group chats. Not in the group chats here. So you can copy it out. I'm about dropping it here. Let me copy for this one as well. So you guys can copy it and apply it on your sheets. But before you do that, please try and see if you can solve the problem yourself before putting the code inside. That's how you learn. If you see that if I drag it down now, you should have a perfect blend of acceptance and rejection. So can you see? So now we've accepted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've rejected 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have a better way of accepting and rejecting in the sense that there's a balance in our potential of the business, and also there's a balance in the security of our funds. And if the worst case happens, we know we're only giving money to people. We know we're only giving money to people that at least they deposited 25%. So even if they decide to run, we know at least we'll be having 25% of our, we'll be losing just 75% rather than the whole 100%. So you can see now this is the perfect approach to do this. You understand? And we use the combination of and or. Again, logic, you have to use the head. So for people that want to copy, just, even if you don't long press, just highlight it with your mouse, then Control-C on your keyboard. You should copy it. On your phone, just hold it down. You should be able to copy. Right? Anybody that is able to copy it, please send it to the group chat for others to get it. Thank you very much. So because of my time, I can take 2 questions, please. I'm really sorry, just 2 questions, so that we can round it up at 10 minutes early. So I'm going to take questions from Imelda and Esther. All right, Imelda, your question.
Thank you. Good evening, Dan. So I just wanted to clarify something. When you're combining the and or operators, you have to start with the and, indicating your mandatory criteria, right? Before you complete it with or.
This or, we are starting with the and. This or here, this entirety here is returning a true or a false. Remember?
Yes, I know. That's what I'm saying. You can't start with or. You can't start with the or state, the or criteria. You have to start with the and criteria when you are combining and or, right?
Yes. Depending on the scenario, I think there should be. I don't know if there's a scenario where you can use or first. I doubt, because the or will automatically negate the effect of the and, or the and add restrictions to the or. I don't know. I will check, but off the top of my head, most times with the and, then the or is embedded, is nested inside the and to have a better control. All right.
Thank you.
Esther Dennis. Last question.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good
So
evening.
I wanted to ask, you said this example, the person is working as a risk analyst, right? So I want to know, like, if a risk analyst is working now, is giving like is giving a set of data to do something with it.
Please, I'm sorry, but I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me better now?
It's not clear. It's not loud, and there's a
What
background
about now?
noise. It's slightly better.
Can you hear me now?
It's better.
Okay. So I was asking if you're working as a risk analyst and you're giving like a set of data to work on, do you just like
Yeah.
come up with the solution by yourself, or like is it given to you as okay? Like you literally have to solve it first before. I don't know how to phrase this question.
Okay. Now, as a risk assessment analyst, right? As a risk assessment analyst, it is your job to give your shareholders, in fact, data analysis, I told you, is to give them informed, to make them take informed decisions. So these criteria, you will have to perform another set of data analysis. Probably you go out and you will source for data. You source for data. Please, you guys should fill the attendance form, because I won't be here. I'll be out of here in like 3 minutes time, please. So you go online, or you can go and gather data wherever you can. You will check the data and the characteristics or the policies of the higher or the best performing loan companies as compared to the ones that are failing, right? Then you can adopt the practices of those companies that are successful in the loan business, and you can use those criteria as part of what you guys will use here. You understand? So that is how you can now come up with the criteria that best fits the company in order to avoid risk and to maximize profits. So everything is just about this analysis. You need to gather data, you need to analyze. So before you come up with these criteria here and the kind of logic you want to use, you need to perform a separate analysis on the practice of the domain you're working in. They say experience is the best teacher. You don't have to experience it personally to know what to do or what not to do. You can learn from the experiences of others. So if you can study bigger, better companies than yours, you look for what makes them tick, you adopt those practices, then you apply them to this company. It could be their policies on how they choose people that they give out loans to. Do you understand? So that's how it works. So please, I'm really sorry. I have to cut it short today. I have to really cut. You guys know I usually overstay the time allocated, but today something came up I need to attend to. So please, let's end it here for today.
Sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Let's end it here for today, please. I need to be on a call now, like this. So I'm really, really sorry. If any question, just send me a private message. I will try to answer.
We cannot message you privately, Mr. Dan.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So please, my apologies for today. So thank you guys
Apology
very much.
accepted.
Yeah. And you guys should prepare for my assignment on Friday, because